It is a desperate, foolish errand to march on the Blood God's domain. Not with 10,000 men could you do this. It is folly. And yet the Jade Dragon is here all the same, learning from that Legion of Osgore video 4 months ago that a small force might succeed where a large one would fail. John Romero, eat your heart out. We're here in hell, and doom is coming. But will it be for the Cathayan invaders, or the armies of Khorne, roused to wrath and ruin by an ascended Valkyrie? Lots of new units on display in this one, and the Jade and Jet Lions in particular have a heavy burden to bear in a place no mortal should ever tread. They have the bloody fist of Khorne himself to contend with, and his freaky little paramour. Valkia would probably pull my spleen out through my ears if she heard me say that. Worth it! Anyway, we're in the middle of his Coliseum, where all the Berserker nobles watch from the skyboxes high above, and it'll be a good show, because Yuan just showed up, and he's spoiling for a fight. He is the Emperor's Executioner, wielding a powerful blade that can decapitate any character once they drop below 20% HP. Extremely strong ability if used at the appropriate time. The Dragon's Fang is a huge combat steroid, and he has a wide selection of spells from Jade Shield to Net of Amantok, Comet of Cassandora, and the Armor of the Dragon's Gaze, which gives him a ward save and nearby friendlies immune to psychology, which is always useful against fear and terror-causing demons. In human form, he is tanky and hard to kill. In dragon form, he is a force of nature and drippy to boot. Lots of ways he can beat you, lots of ways he can keep Cathay in the fight. It's hard to go wrong with a lord this powerful. Plus, the dude looks like Shenron from Dragon Ball Z. He'll be granting Khorne's wish today at the very least. There will be plenty of blood on this battlefield. Next up, we have the Grace of Kuei Yin, the Moon Empress, Celestial Dragon crossbows with huge missile damage, magical arrows, and a severe debuff for armored, shielded enemy units. So, shooting into Chaos Warriors or Chosen, even Iron Breakers, those really heavily armored elite tier troops, very much on the table for them, and the Dune Dragons will defend their rear, an elite halberd unit well suited to killing demons as well. Near to the front are the Guardian Lions of Yin and Yang, made of both Jade and Jet. Jade Lion focused on attack and spell casting, while the Jet Lion on the other side is arguably less useful here against Khorne because of its anti-mage properties. Both certainly have good stats, utility, and killing power in melee, but they can rout, unlike Terracotta Sentinels, which is a bit weird, and they have a smallish HP pool, so they don't have the staying power of some other tier 4 and tier 5 monsters, but they can certainly help bolster a battle line. Across these rivers of crimson come the armies of Valkia the Bloody, the barbarian queen of gore. Heralds of Khorne's Fury Blood Crushers will be her chosen hammer, while the mighty Bloodthirster with Gore Shell will be a serious threat to the Jade Dragon himself, especially when fighting back-to-back with Valkia. I'm frankly not sure there's any monster in the game, even the super cracked ones, that can face down the dueling might of Valkia and Khorne's Bloody Fist together. So if they stay together and don't get picked off, they are a problem. Now, ironically, the terrain on this map, despite being the Blood God's chosen venue for winnowing, is probably not in favor of his champions. The pool in the center is a bit of a natural choke point, and if Khorne decides to go around, they expose themselves to artillery fire for longer. So as the bombards open up and the Jade Dragon moves into position, the Khorne infantry does have some decisions to make in terms of their positioning. There's not a ton of shooting on the Cathayan side, just the elite crossbow and one cannon unit, but for now, it looks like the infantry wants to take that quick route through. Valkia, of course, wielding the severed head of the Demon Prince Losifax, makes her invincible whenever she decides to activate that, and the Spear Slapnir for putting pressure on ranged troops or elite infantry. Armor-piercing wind spell can rip through their flank and do quite a bit of damage. And Yuan coming forward for a Net of Amantok and combining that with the magical volleys from the Grace of Kuei Yin, focusing down those lesser demons. Now here is a potent alley-oop that is unique to the Jade Dragon. Net is obviously amazing for a shooting and artillery-based faction, but he can even biggie little back to pop of the combo all by himself. Just net something down, then drop a Comet of Cassandora on it, and Bloodletters will end up drowning in the blood they so dearly love to slake their thirst upon. The Spear Slapnir ripping through the infantry in the back, but not dealing a ton of damage at the start here anyway, and Bloodletters about to crumble out. Now, of course, he's the Jade Dragon. He's not going to stay in human form the entire battle, so it's time to go Omega Shenron up in this bitch and get it poppin'. Ain't nobody watching this dude so he can run around like a cosplay nerd with a fancy sword, but that Emerald Serpent, big as a building, flying high on the winds of magic, quite the sight to behold. Now, Pool of Blood has funneled Khorne into a kill box where the Celestial Crossbows can rack up the carnage. Double Trouble Lions are helping to hold back the tide as well, but Khorne cannot be held back for long. not with the 3 most dangerous units in Valkia, the Bloodthirster and the Blood Crushers circling on the flanks and rear. So, as these Berserker infantry and Marauders make contact in the center, Cannon is trying to deal the Heralds of Khorne's Fury out on the flank. Yuan Bo going down into melee to tear out some of these troops if he can. They would need to lose their Frenzy for that. And the Mark of Yin, the Grace of Kuei Yin's 180 range debuff, will make just about any unit sad. Minus missile resist, minus armor, minus missile block chance. Would possibly been better on the dual wield Chaos Warriors, but of course they don't have any shields. That may have been the intent anyway. Jet Lion withdrawing, while Fleshhounds look for an opening, and the scary Flyers dive into the rear. Valkia going right after the elite crossbow, styling on them with the Spear Slapnir. Jade Dragon serpentining his way through the entire Marauder formation, ripping them apart, and the Bloodthirster begins its fateful duel with the Jade Dragon, while Valkia continues her rampage in the rear. And unlike most other Flyers, none too bothered by an elite unit like the Dune Dragons, because she has a Footlord profile and another use of that Slapnir wind spell, best used if they try to surround her. We'll see if they take the bait. Yuan Bo still fighting against the Fleshhounds and the Bloodthirster, while Fleshhounds in the rear being cut down by the Celestial Dragons. But their front line is crumbling. Khorne should be able to break it momentarily, and that could be a big problem, because then the cannons and the Grace of Kuei Yin would find themselves inundated and swarmed by all these fast movers that are beginning to find some openings into the flanks and rear. Comet of Cassandora coming down. Really love using those bombardment spells paired alongside some powerful single entities that can tank and survive in these kinds of engagements. And a super unlucky roll from the Comet. Oh my god! Landed directly on top of the Jade Lion, who is now in quite a bit of pain. Unfortunate, because that spell typically has a decent chunk of variance on where it can land, and while it did chunk the Khornate Berserkers, that spell from Yuan Bo may have just killed his own kitty cat. Valkyrie Queen still reaping souls for her daddy, and the lions are playing with their food with some rather playful animations here. Kind of cats that drop a half-torn dude in your lap and say, "Did I do good, master?" Yeah, they're the best little felines in the game, but Valkia may not suffer them to live much longer at this point. Fantastic choice for countering them, especially because she has infantry support next to all those Chaos Warriors. And Cathay doesn't have many bodies to help them out. They're kind of overextended right now. Valkia might be able to kill off that Jade Lion soon. Yuan Bo forcing the Bloodthirster off has not taken much damage up to this point. Jade Lion is about to rout. And again, this is one of those weird things where I feel like because it's a construct, I think it should be unbreakable. It does have immune to Psych. It already has high base leadership, but I'm surprised that it's able to rout when the Terracotta Sentinel and other Cathayan constructs do not. That may change at some point, but for now, it will flee the battlefield, and the Jet Lion might not want to stick around for too much longer. Blood Crushers crush the cannon crew under Molten Rhino hooves, while the Grace of Kuei Yin has a momentary opening to unleash their devastating 50 missile damage, majority AP. Bloodthirster is right back into combat with Yuan Bo, and another Comet of Cassandora raining down from the heavens, and it looks like it was positioned just about perfectly this time. 2 units set routing after that one. Spear of Slapnir shattering the earth beneath the crossbow's feet, devastating the Jade Warriors, protecting them as well. As for the Bloody Fist of Khorne, this is no longer an intelligent fight for the Greater Demon. Elite Halberds are right there in support, and beating the dragon isn't a sure thing for the Bloodthirster anyway. It would be wise to use those Blood Crushers as a screen, maybe, to disengage, and then link up with the rest of the infantry storming the stairway alongside Valkia. Now, the Bloody, the Valkyrie of the Schwarzhof, has attacked Yuan Bo from behind. So if they could drop a Sword of Khorne or get that Bloodthirster away from the Celestial Dragon Guard and then attack Yuan Bo from the other side. As I said at the beginning, that combination of Valkia and Khorne's Bloody Fist is probably too much even for the Jade Dragon to handle. They still have their Jet Lion, who's relatively healthy. Bloodthirster did choose to flee, but down to half HP. And the RORs are swarming down the hilltop into the middle of this infantry as the Blood Crushers continue their rampage. Into the back of the Jade Warriors, they will break them momentarily. It looks like he won't be holding on for a Sword of Khorne. Instead, he's using the Horn of Khorne to win this very important duel in the center. But the Dragon's Fang has been activated, so he'll punch back as much as he's being hit. and the Grace of Kuei Yin are right there. Blessings of the Moon Empress be upon you. They got some great volleys into the Bloodthirster and hit it with the Mark of Yin, signified by that blue symbol up atop the banner. And the Bloodthirster just got taken to Pound Town by that combination. But the Jade Dragon also dropping low, and defensively, reflexively, going back into human form, which is typically what you want to do, because they have a really big hitbox. They'll get hit by a lot of stuff if you stay as a dragon and you're really low. They have a much smaller profile on foot, and that might just save his life. 44% ward save sent towards the Celestial Dragon Guard up on top of the staircase. Big comment of Cassandora calling in danger close fire support directly atop his own position. That will instantly net him 50 plus kills and give him the space he needs to escape what was surely going to lead to his death. Dangerous, but 100% worth it. He'll flee to the safety of his own elite infantry on top, while Khorne continues to slog it uphill. He has elite halberds around him now. Jet Lion is still in the fight. Cathay is looking dangerously thin, but so is Khorne, and there's a lot of routing. Heralds of Khorne's Fury, with Horn of Khorne activated on them, running down the routing Dune Dragons, and Jade Shield activated on the Jet Lion to give him a 44% ward save and keep him survivable against Valkia and her dueling potential. Marauders and the remnants of the Khornate Berserkers trying to kill off the Celestial Dragon Guard and the Grace of Kuei Yin. Valkia into the back line and about to finish off that Jet Lion, but the Cathay Invaders are keeping it high and tight. They're keeping it a compact formation and making sure that Valkia can't isolate and destroy any of these targets alone. If the Celestial Dragon Guard hold the line here, Valkia might be in trouble because she's entirely surrounded by armor-piercing troops, while Yuan Bo can slice her down with some really cool animations. Another Horn of Khorne activated. Jade Shield, 44% ward save now on the Celestial Dragon Guard. Yuan Bo is very low, but Valkia was healthy not a minute and a half ago, now down to half HP and getting dangerously close to that Executioner's threshold. She's at 2780 HP right now. Heralds of Khorne's Fury with a big blood-crushing charge downhill into the rear of the Cathayan infantry. And an important duel, Jet Lion just routed off. Valkia activating her invulnerability, and Yuan Bo going in for the final duel, and this will decide the game. If either Lord routs here, it's probably GG. But she is only invincible for about 15 seconds or so, and once that wears off, Yuan Bo can drop the hammer and literally decapitate the Bloody, the Gore Queen, and that is exactly what is going to happen. She had 1600 HP and then instantly deleted as soon as her invulnerable state wore off, and Valkia has just been slain by Yuan Bo and an insanely powerful single target spell. That's crazy. Wow. I was not expecting that kind of damage potential, and it looked like it might have had one of those high rolls because the DPS states it goes from 366 to 750 or something like that, and it only lasts for 2 seconds. So on the lower end of the threshold, it might be only 800, 900 damage. On the higher end, it looks like you can roll higher. I'm not sure if that's how it works because it says on the tooltip 20% is the cutoff straight up. But that wasn't 20%, that was like 28% of her HP remaining, almost 30%, and she instantly got deleted. Really crazy to watch. So if nothing else, we know that the Emperor's Executioner ability is very strong. Yuan Bo ended up getting 5,000 damage value this game. He hard carried the Cathayan army. Neither the Jade Lion nor the Jet Lion did amazing, although I'd say that their value was more in their ability to hold back the tides and give the Grace of Kuei Yin and the cannons a little bit more time to fire. They did that role quite well, but they didn't do a lot of damage to the Khornate army. Grace of Kuei Yin were awesome this game, as were the Celestial Dragon Guard. And on the other side, Valkia had 2600 value. Bloodthirster did not have a great game. When he tried to get the duels in with the Jade Dragon, the Celestial Dragon Guard kept warding him off, making it really difficult for him to make an impact and chunk down Yuan Bo. If he was able to stay alive into the late game, there's a good chance Khorne wins there, but there were so many counters to him, and the Grace of Kuei Yin, with their Mark of Yin, might have been the big reason that the Khorne's Bloody Fist fell, and from there, it was going to be hard for Khorne to come back. But really exciting battle. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and more on the way.